In this video, let's talk about Frame.io's new camera-to-cloud updates and an in-depth conversation about the future of AI and video. All right, real quick, you're watching Video Brand. Special thanks to our sponsors for helping make this NAB coverage possible. Massive, Metricool, OpenReel, Adspective, and Vestigit. Be sure to check them out. Links are in the description below. And now, back to the interview. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Michael from Frame.io. So yeah, tell me, we got some updates on the platform. Give me an overview.
Excited to be here. You know, Frame.io was known for being the tool that powers world's video creators, but now we're powering just all creators, including stills. And so one of the coolest things we've done is partnered with Fujifilm, and they make two cameras so far, the XH2 and the XH2S, which gives you 6K ProRes and 26 megapixel or 8K ProRes and 40 megapixel stills, and you can shoot directly to the cloud. So if I take images here, this will wirelessly transmit the assets right into my Frame.io account, and I could be transmitting those assets as RAW or JPEG or TIFF or HEIF, or ProRes or H.264 or H.265. You kind of have all the control. And there we are right up there already transmitted up there. And imagine you're connecting photographers in a way that gives them more control, because as we see all this generative AI stuff, it's making a lot of people nervous. It should. But when we think about how to leverage generative AI, one thing that AI can't do is predict who's going to win the World Series. So this is where photography and videography, like real elements, real world things that have to happen, those are areas that we need to be innovating and creating those materials, and we got to have a way to deliver it quickly, securely, and rapidly to every collaborator. So Fuji is one of the big ways to do that.
Yeah, I think also when you mention AI, like one of the advantages is like things just happen quicker. So being able to like just make things quicker, AI or not, huge advantage.
Yeah.
So with the still photography, so with the camera to cloud with video, it's either built in the camera or you can get like external devices like an Atomos or a Teradek. So is that a little bit more challenging with a still photography? Like, does it have to be built into the camera manufacturer, or is there some possibility of like an external device? I'm not as familiar with
It's
still
a great
photography.
question. See, the funny thing with stills is the operator, the actual photographer, generally is operating all by themselves, right? It's just a one-person show. And so it's really important to have total integration. Plus, if you're integrated in a device, you can select what to upload based on your available bandwidth versus having to configure an external device, which is kind of what you're doing here. So there's less compatibility issues if it's inside the device. The first two devices that this is really possible is Fujifilm on stills and the Red Raptor and Raptor XLs in cinema. Those also are the first cameras to have a direct integration with Frame.io, where you can upload RAW files or ProRes files if you have the bandwidth. And those are the ways to kind of get cinema right to the cloud. Look, in 2031, no one's going to be shipping hard drives. No one's going to be taking out SD cards and pulling these things and downloading and putting them in a box and sending it. It's not going to happen. It's all going to go to the cloud. The question is, what are the manufacturers that recognize that and accelerate that adoption and change? Red and Fuji are the first two to do that. If you don't have a Red or a Fuji, this device here is called a Prism Mobile. And Haley, if you want to shoot a video shot of us real quick, we'll do a quick demo. The Prism Mobile is made by Teradek. It's a H.265 4K encoder, but it also has 4 cell SIM cards in it with 2 modems. So as you record, it transmits right to the cloud automatically. So she shoots a shot of us, in about 5 seconds, it'll upload a 4K 10-bit file, and because it's an external device, it can work with legacy cameras like an Alexa LF here. You could put it on almost anything. And I like the built-in modem connected to the encoder at the same time. So there's our shot. We're in Premiere Pro, and right from within Premiere Pro, we're playing back a shot that just shot. We didn't have to download the footage, and we got a 4K 10-bit file. And this is sort of the ideology we want people to be thinking about. It's like how to circumvent downloading and shipping and connecting little red record buttons to editors' timelines as quickly as possible.
Yeah, just getting it there as fast as possible. So right now what we're looking at in Premiere is that downloading the proxy file locally to the computer versus, do you see a future where we're like able to kind of just work off cloud drives or work off, because right now we're like kind of syncing everything to like our local devices.
Yeah, today you're going to import it into Premiere, and I can pull this clip in, and if I were to import this file, I'll bring it in. I could bring in the original H.265. and load that in. And this is sort of a hybrid workflow. We're using the cloud to move the media instantly, and then we work locally. And now I drag this into a timeline, and I've got an asset playing back in Premiere Pro. But one of our very popular partners is LucidLink. And if you use LucidLink, you can move these files into Lucid and still continue to edit off the cloud and use Premiere Pro and make sure that your teams are still working cloud-based. Eventually, we'll just have cloud editing all the time. It's still a little early for that. Yeah. All this is early, let's be honest. But we can see a picture of where we're going, and I just love seeing people get excited about figuring out how to do that. And it's the early adopters who are going to win. If you become a master of cloud-first technology early, when it gets more stable and standardized, you already have worked out all the bugs, invested in the right equipment, and gotten your teams to start to function on a different level.
Yeah, and have that pipeline built out and ready to go. Talking about AI stuff, do you see kind of future developments, like with the Frame.io platform, of tools to like help accelerate? I know Adobe Premiere has some like stuff rolling out now, but even like being able to like search footage or tagging or identifying objects, kind of in that level of using it as like a media library.
Absolutely. Look, AI is going to be the most polarizing bloodbath of the last 20 years. It's going to be really incredible. It's going to happen really fast. And there's going to be people on all sides of these issues. Adobe's really building a system, Firefly, that is a generative AI solution, and that's part of our ability to make sure that there's copyrights considered with that, provenance. These are things that are really important to the Adobe brand, to make sure that those things are considered. But you still have to recognize that this is an inevitability, right? And so what everyone has to think about, my advice to cinematographers and photographers, creatives in general, is to really recognize that an enormous percentage of images today that are shot or recorded is going to go down. The percentage of things that are photographed or recorded in the world for productions is going to go down. Now, news and sports is different because you can't generate news and sports. But when it comes to narrative and elements like that, there's going to be a big change. And so you want to position yourself at businesses and companies and technologies that really support a world where we're going to be able to generate so much more than we could possibly imagine, right? And it's going to change even things like actors' contracts and the legal ability to buy someone's likeness and generate that instead of pay them to shoot it. This is going to be really, really different. So I'm excited about that opportunity. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I'm pretty certain it is going to be a significant reduction in overall production because it'll be cheaper to generate it than to shoot it. And productions that are looking for that kind of savings are just going to go right there. If we fight this technological change, I think it'll be a miss. If you exert the wrong amount of calories and the wrong issues, you're going to end up wasting energy and still find yourself in a tricky situation. So lean into it. Much like 10 and 15 years ago and 20 years ago with digital cinema, people fought it. There were people that said, I'm not shooting anything unless it's on film. What a silly argument, right? People said, we're not shooting 4K, we don't want 4K. What a silly argument. Some people still argue we shouldn't have HDR. Silly arguments, right? And they're wasting energy on small issues. The big issue is going to be, what are we going to generate, what are we going to shoot? Well, how's that going to change? And when we edit, are we going to edit it, or is it going to edit itself? Computational editing is going to start to replace a lot of the creative editing at some level. I'm not trying to say it's good or bad, I'm just reporting the weather here. And it's I don't actually know how it'll play out, but I'm trying to position myself from a posture of learning and listening, and I think Adobe's doing the same thing to try to learn and listen and position ourselves to be considerate of the situation. But it's a lot of unknowns, and if we just sit back and see how it goes, I think a lot of creatives are going to put themselves in a compromising situation. So my advice is be proactive, learn, read, try it, test it, and figure out where you can fit to make sure that on the other side of this transition, much like digital or 4K or files or tape or whatever, you are on the side of the side that has growth and opportunity still affiliated with it.
And when you say you think we're going to like actually film less and produce overall less, are you thinking like that we're going to turn more into like we're generating backgrounds and filming people, and then that gradually shifts to like maybe we're just people are generated too? Is this like we're kind of just
I'll give you an
compositing?
example.
We're going to do like more compositing and of different elements in the future?
No.
Or just type in, oh, hey, change our background to like we're in space?
A lot of people have seen like camera tests where they have camera A and camera B, and they post it and they go, this was shot a test of camera A and camera B. Can you tell me which one's better?
Yeah.
Can you tell me the difference? People love doing that. What you're going to see in less than 3 years, is this human a human? Or is this just generated?
Is the Pope really wearing a white puffy jacket?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can't tell the difference, and we start to take this beautiful generative AI and start to apply it at 24 images per second, which will inevitably happen, then all of a sudden we can start to generate actors. We could generate images. I mean, advertising agencies and fashion won't pay for supermodels. They'll just generate a supermodel wearing the items, and they won't have to paint out wrinkles. They just won't generate wrinkles, right? And it'll be easier and faster to do that than to pay someone $1 million to be the model, right? And a photographer $100,000 to shoot that. I know that disrupts the market, but this is what it's going to do. Again, I'm not saying I'm necessarily in favor of this. I'm just saying it's inevitable. And so when humans are actually generated in motion and you can't tell the difference and it's easy and fast, then something like a sitcom, would a studio rather pay 7 actors in a sitcom $1 million an episode, or just generate them and pay them nothing an episode? Right? If it's just a sitcom with a laugh
thing
track.
with the generative models, it's sort of based on stuff that humans have already made. So like, do you still feel like there's like the spot, like where does the human creativity come in if the algorithms are possibly editing the videos in the future, or generating the people, but generating things based on whatever we fed it, based on stuff we created. So like where does the human creativity fit in the future?
And we generate what gets generated, I guess, right? And we draw from all these experiences. And that's part of what Adobe Firefly is trying to do, is make sure it's cognizant of where these images come from, where that stuff comes from. Look, I don't have the answers. I'm just saying that this is an opportunity where creatives the right creatives will find a way to make sure that they're relevant in this change. They always do. Right? When digital still cameras came out, people said, oh, that's the end of photography. Not at all, right? It just changed, right? Same with digital cameras. Oh, this is going to plummet the quality of cinema. No, it actually made it better quality, right? The same thing will happen. And we just have to be open-minded to what this is going to unlock and figure out how to make sure that our creative impressions, our creative opportunities, our creative outlets are still there, but they're going to be in a different envelope. And that's the opportunity. And that's going to ruffle some feathers, and it's going to create super new, amazing things we never thought of before. Even down to the feed that you scroll is given to you via algorithms. What if the same show produces what a person A likes versus person B? If person A, likes a certain type of drink and shops at Ross, that'll be in that, and if person B likes a different drink and shops at TJ Maxx, it'll be that version. And it's the same show. Yeah. Like, those little nuances become possible, and they become automatic. And it just knows what zip code you're in and what's there, and if you love Taco Bell, your credit card knows that. It goes on. I mean, all this stuff gets factored in, and all of a sudden they're eating Taco Bell in a show, and they're eating at Chili's in the same episode of a different region. That's going to happen. Now, people got to get behind that and make sure it works and make sure it looks real and make sure you suspend disbelief and you have great stories to tell. I think all that still plays out, but the way in which we deliver it is going to be a little bit less hitting record and saying lights, camera, action. That's going to change a little bit. And I think we've learned a little bit from the video game community, because they generate these, images and videos and edits and stuff like that. These are all things that are early versions of this, and things like Unreal Engine and Unity, they're gonna be really, really powerful things. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, this will be a good conversation to look back on 10 years from now and see what the deal is.
Yeah.
So cool. Thanks so much, Michael.
All right, you got it.
Thanks. Thanks for watching the video. For more of our NAB coverage, be sure to check out the playlist right here and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode.